Hello and welcome to the Watson Weekend. I'm Rick Watson.
Hi, it's Jessica Liseski.
We are your weekly hit of retail, technology, e-commerce, and news. It's like that TikTok dance video that you didn't actually flip on, but you can't stop watching.
And you're better for it. So is the world.
Are you better for it?
Of course. Of course. All good things, learning-wise, come from the talk, right? It's where most people get their news now.
At any rate, we're here again. I'm back after taking a week off. This is why I'm raring to go.
We missed you. Well,
Yes.
though Nick and I did have a lot of fun in your absence. You know, like they say, when the cat's away, the mice will play, and play
Correct.
we did. We had a lot of fun.
It looked like a great episode. I was catching up, and you guys do such a great job.
Hey, we didn't get you canceled, so that's also a win.
That is really step one. Although it would, with the Streisand effect, it could be huge for our ratings.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, there's been a lot going on. And as always, we like to dive into the headline hangover. Just to kind of kick things started, we also have an amazing guest today. And Rick's going to introduce that. Can't steal his thunder. You know, he's been waiting in the wings to introduce this one. But as we get going, we're going to bring our headline hangover. It's sponsored by Crystal, CRSTL, the smarter way to EDI. You guys see why brands like Neurogum and Andy Swim love it at crstl.ai.
All right. First of all, we're a live show. And so if you're in the audience and you have a guess, just blurt it out in the comments. We'd love to hear it here. So Jess, this one's for you.
Well, we may want to, we may want to let people know what we're doing, because this is the second week in a row we're switching things up. Yeah, we're going to
you explain. I don't know what we're doing.
I know. Well, headlines are boring if you don't have a little game. And Rick and I are very competitive, if you don't know. If you've watched some previous episodes, we've had bets. I've mostly lost them. I'm going to end this streak. So we're going to go through the headlines. It's blanked out. We're going to make each other guess. And winner takes all.
I just want to note that leaving this headline up on longer gives you a slight advantage.
Maybe
that's
I was
unfair.
I was just testing it a little bit, buying some time.
Yes. Anyway, you're in the audience. Jess is going to guess the headline, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
And then we're going to flip, and we're going to do it again. But in the meantime, if you have a guess and you are watching the show, all one of you, blurt it out, and then we will highlight all of you. Your name is going to be in lights. So, our old friend Temu, Jess. Temu has been, they're not on the rocket ship they once were. And here we have a headline: Temu blank in efforts to compete with Amazon.
Blocked.
Blocked, I will get. Hits roadblock is the answer.
Okay. All right.
Hits roadblock. And let's break it down for you. I mean, they've been challenged since, I would say, the beginning of the year. De minimis has been on again, off again. The company has paused ad spending at the beginning of the year. That has caused their users to plummet by 54% this year, which is, as you might say, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, yikes. Little yikes moment.
On top of that, brands are now saying to Temu that if you have a product on Temu and Amazon, Temu had been undercutting the Amazon price, which, of course, any brand will know. Amazon doesn't love being undercut.
That's your one-way ticket.
There are embargoes to Amazon, La La Land.
Yeah.
And so it's not even saying that Amazon is going after Temu and Amazon sellers. Amazon are they're big enough to stay out of it. The brands are F you, Temu. You're not as important to us as Amazon. Please, ixnay on the price matching. And so now, without the ability to price match, without the ability to pay for ads, a friend of the show, Martin Heubel, who does a lot of great content around Amazon Vendor, said that Temu and its parent company, Pinduoduo, would have to be willing to waste billions of dollars just to maintain their current market position. So this is where we are.
Okay, so you're saying that they probably won't be spending on the Super Bowl in 2026.
I mean, just like the movie Dumb and Dumber, you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. All right. Well, moving on. I'm going to give you your first one.
Yes.
So eBay gains what? Fuel strong sales forecast.
Consumer purchasing.
Oh, okay. I will give you, since you gave me blocked, I will give you consumer. The word, what we were looking for here, which is not something that you typically hear, and I would have given you probably a hall pass if you missed it. eBay and the words resilient consumers in the same thing.
Yeah.
Because eBay, and I know you follow eBay very closely and earnings as you do your earnings report. Yeah. They were a little Wall Street darling, which they aren't always. They had revenue, earnings per share beat. GMV was growing 6%. They have a lot of value customers coming back, right? Maybe there's some tariff situation, kind of at play here. But Jamie Iannone credited the growth to these focus categories, AI-driven product listings, which are helping sellers with organizing their titles, optimizing their pricing, their shipping. Of course, you have to throw an AI story in here to help, grandma's beanie baby get the new lease on life that it deserves.
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies, we're bringing them back, It's like, what's old is new again. But, they're still dealing with shrinking active buyers. They've just not been able to maintain those pandemic growth trajectories like many e-commerce businesses. And, do we talk about Temu? Temu had also been eating away at some of eBay's market share. There's always some kind of new entity that's popping up that's wanting to take share of their core categories, whether that's trading cards, collectibles, or, luxury has been kind of eaten away. So my question is, do you believe this resilience is sustainable, or is this a temporary blip in eBay's calling card?
Yeah. I mean, as you know, one thing that eBay always has going for it, it's a great recession company. It's almost a recession-proof company because it's a place for price discovery. And so if people are looking for off-price merchandise and they want some place to go, a lot of times the normal retailers aren't marking down enough. They're going to go to eBay to find, the old, like an old Steve Madden shoe or something, and it's the same thing. It's only been worn once, and instead of being $150, now it's $50. And so I think eBay is part of the great trade down somewhere in the equation, and so that definitely takes advantage for them. As sort of the vibes get better, that is really when to watch eBay, I think, again, to see if they're able to, raise their boats with the rest of everyone else.
Yeah. And it's always the pressure of, have they been relevant for younger buyers as well? It's not been a place. So I think that's the other thing you kind of look for is, are they seeing some growth with new buyers, with younger buyers in demographics? So those are always the things that we'll watch with eBay. All right. Good job. We're tied up.
Yes.
Here we go.
I don't need your patronizing tone. Really. Okay. I mean, that's really uncalled for.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll keep it to myself. No congrats to you. Screw you then.
Here's the next one. This is one of my favorite companies. Overstock parent company is Bed Bath & Beyond. Overstock eyes what with Rolex and Patek Philippe?
I'm going to go with luxury.
Oof. Another correct. Overstock eyes luxury expansion with Rolex and Patek Philippe. Obviously, I mentioned the parent company, Bed Bath & Beyond. I should say Bed Bath. Bed Bath is out the window. Now we're just Beyond.
It's to infinity and beyond.
It's to infinity and beyond. Revenue has dropped 30% year over year in the last earnings report, which is a big trouble, which incidentally is the exact same number that their active customers declined. Go figure.
Causation or correlation?
Causation or my feeling is if the number of customers purchasing your product goes down, your revenue is also likely to go down.
Yeah. They say that happens. Some would
Causation.
say.
I'm not even going to put that up to correlation. So, meantime, business guru Marcus Lemonis says that overstock. I'm going to slow down for a second.
Yeah.
Overstock.com
Mm-hmm.
is going after a more affluent consumer with this luxury market. And they said they've done focus group after focus group has said that people want to find great luxury brands at great prices on Overstock.
Who are these people and where have they been focusing?
They were in a focus group, Jess.
Okay. I feel like, is this one of those tell me what you want to hear moments? Look, hats off. I mean, not resting your laurels, continuing to push.
Watches off in this case.
Yeah, watches off. Continuing to find, more opportunities, not saying, hey, we're throwing in the towel here. Feels like we can win in this space. I just am curious, what's the right to win that Overstock has? It feels a little like a stretch.
Correct.
And there's lots of places that you can get luxury. We just talked about one of them being eBay, right? You can get great luxury items, either gently used or, maybe used very well. Some people don't care.
Yeah.
But, buying discount, like Overstock has been the place to go get discounts. And
how many Overstock
Rolexes are there?
When did Rolex overstock?
They don't.
They built too many?
Also, someone like Louis Vuitton would burn inventory before they let it go somewhere else.
Yeah, they melt it down the lead. In the same article, I just have to read this quote because Marcus Lemonis, I used to like the show The Prophet, and then in the last few years, it just seems like the grift angle has
I thought he was your mentor.
Off the charts. I learned everything I could from him. We continue to be laser focused on strengthening our core e-commerce retail business while actively unlocking in our blank.
Oh, while actively unlocking in our...
This is a bonus round.
Oh, okay. Margin?
Blockchain asset portfolio. Booyah!
I would have never guessed that because I don't think I've heard the term blockchain since.
A better guess would have been agentic, but I think he's been asleep the last 4 years.
Yeah, maybe he thought they're interchangeable. All right, so moving on. I don't think this will be a story we're watching because this one's going to flame out.
Oof.
So less than 2 years after Flexport bought Convoy's tech stack, what?
They sold it. She gone.
Yeah, ding ding. To who?
They sold it to. It's a logistics company, AMS Logistics.
Oh, so close. So I'm sorry, I'm not giving it to you. No, I'm kidding. You get it.
It's a TLA. It's a TLA. I should get some.
Yes.
DAT.
So,
there you go.
There's lots of irony in this story. I mean, so much to unpack here. Flexport rode in like a white knight, rescuing Convoy's tech stack from the wreckage of its $1 billion flameout. And now they're tossing it like a hot potato. DAT Freight and Analytics is stepping in to catch it. The whole story here was Flexport came in, they scooped it up like pennies on the dollar, but because it was going to revolutionize trucking operations. Now Ryan's like, hey, the synergies didn't synergize.
No.
Our plans to transform Flexport in this full stack digital freight powerhouse is more like plugging a Tesla engine into a tricycle.
Yes. Yeah. The math didn't math. By the way, Jeff Bezos was an investor in Convoy.
There was. Yes. Bezos was an investor. I think lots of people were drinking this Kool-Aid. I think the irony here too is Convoy coming in with this back-end platform, these pricing algorithms, these automation tools that were supposed to disrupt companies like DAT in the first place.
Yeah,
we're having a
correct.
very full circle moment here.
Correct.
Now what's like the future of this? Like, is this like the end of the story here, or is there some moral we're gonna catch from this?
Unclear. There's too much capacity in supply chain as a result. Flexport, and which is at some point a wholly owned subsidiary of Shopify. They own like 20% of the business, and if they were trying to we'll see what happens when Flexport has to raise money again. How much more percentage Shopify will own as the lender of last resort?
Yes, I believe that they taketh.
Shopify giveth and Shopify taketh away.
Taketh away. But yeah, so I kind of my moral here, Rick, was in freight tech, yesterday's innovation is today's garage sale.
Oof. Oh, let's go back to eBay and overstock.
There we go. Look, do you like how I'm threading this whole thing?
I love it. Flexport is not Rolex. Let's put it that way.
It is not. All right. So, Rick, we've been keeping this interview way too long. I want to do you the honor of introducing our guest because it's a real special one.
Yeah, I'm super excited to introduce an interview we had with Dave Finnegan, right here in the studio. He and I were together and you were remote. If you're wondering what these things had in common: empathy, relationships, brand building, anthropology, fly fishing, dinosaurs, and explorers, they all have in common our good friend Finn, or Dave Finnegan, former CMO of Orvis and Build-A-Bear, just all around retail, good guy, friend to so many in the ecosystem. And we're just really blessed to have him here on the program. Yeah. And I think everyone is going to enjoy the interview because we talk about how do you scale relationships? How do you build a brand? What does marketing mean in this AI world that we're living in? And he also unpacks, if you stick around for it, his latest dinosaur dig.
Yes, it's going to be so good. Finn is an amazing human, like you said. And so it was just a treasure to be able to connect with him. And it's like hanging out with your friends.
Yes. Excited here. So let's run it, guys. All right. I'm super excited to be here with Dave Finnegan, Finn to his friends, which I'm proud to count him as one.
Absolutely.
Finn is a career brand builder, and really in every sense, and almost more importantly, I think a budding anthropologist. We're going to talk about marketing. How is that in our DNA? How to make it work? Where is AI taking all of this? Sort of the balance between the human and kind of the machine. Jess, of course, is always with us.
Hello. I'm with you guys in spirit, but on the other side.
Exactly.
On the other side of the heat wave here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But yeah, so excited to be with Finn today. And we really can't wait to dive in as this world feels like it's changing more rapidly. You feel like you get your arms around it and then something else happens where it sends it into a tailspin. I think we are going to start with diving into anthropology and Finn, how studying anthropology has changed the way you're leading marketing teams, structuring brand experiences. Tell us how you're blending these two worlds together.
I was thinking about this over the last several days where I got this love for studying humans and human history and culture. And I think in part, to be honest with you, it's just way back when in the Build-A-Bear days, learning at the feet of Maxine Clark, who was all about the human experience, right? If you think about a brand differentiation, everyone sold stuffed animals.
Right.
So it was all about what the human experience differentiated was. And I think that kind of got me on the path of trying to understand human culture and brand building a little differently. I think fundamentally, what's interesting to me about anthropology is anthropology seeks meaning. It's not just metrics, it's meaning, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's the difference between knowing what someone did and why they actually did it.
Yeah.
And so for me, when it comes to thinking about brands and things like that, it's much more significant than the metrics behind things. It's more about the meaning and how it connects to humans in an emotional way.
And this is super interesting, especially coming off Commerce Next this week. We just had a fantastic dinner and private tour by the archivist, and then another extended private tour by yours truly over there. Off the day experience, how are you thinking about it? Like, it still seems like if you look at social media, there's sort of two worlds. Everyone who's sort of into AI and everyone who's just trying to hit last year's comps. This idea of infusing human culture, meaning, symbolism into this world that's very focused on how do I increase my conversion rate a few extra basis points? Like, where's that line? How do you even start that conversation?
I actually think that it's important to realize it's both and that there's a balance. I think some people who say, oh, we should only focus on the human element and the fuzzy story stuff are out of balance. And same with marketers who are only about performance marketing. I feel like the brands who really, really get this well, they understand that performance marketing is essential. Using AI to do that is essential, and it can pay us back in a big way.
Right.
And if we turbocharge that with a great story, that 1-2 punch, that balance is the thing that's going to make the impact and the difference. So I feel like brands who combine those and get that are the ones that are going to win in the future.
Are there good examples that you're seeing kind of based on that today? That
was going to be my question. Yeah. I think everyone looks to, all right, who is really getting this right? And who do you find inspiration or pull from? Who's got that balance and they're striking it really well?
You know, I spent the last several years at an outdoor company. And so my examples are probably going to be outdoor companies.
They're one of the best, though, in the business.
Yeah,
so
they're really good at storytelling.
They're really good at what they do. Yeah.
There's this emotional connection to something that heals you when you go outside, right? And so really, really great companies get that. They understand that. I think the brands that we looked at when I was at Orvis that were really meaningful that way, one was Arc'teryx, authentic,
right,
and great storytellers. They have a new store in Soho. If you go to this store, it's half theater.
I love Arc'teryx. It's such a great brand.
Yeah. So, and the core of their storytelling is problem solving with product, right? And so Arc'teryx was always one that we thought were great storytellers that were really trying to understand and empathize with the customer by understanding the problem they were trying to solve. That one was a great example to me. The other one that I think does a great job of brand is Yeti.
They're so good too.
You know, if you think about Yeti and you look at their brand over the years, you know, they were going after pit masters and rodeo clowns and these authentic people who are absolutely the story. And guess what? They had a Yeti cooler there that they were making, you know, their craft happen with. And so it wasn't an in-your-face Yeti cooler pom-pom shake. It was an authentic story about the coolest pitmaster in the world. And she was using Yeti. And it was more subtle, the subtlety of her using, it was more about her story and her human story. And so I feel like there's a couple of examples, Arc'teryx and Yeti, that really, really get this right.
Yeah. And part of it you mentioned is understanding your customer and really appealing to those humanity, right? I think people want to feel that connection. What do you see are some of the most misunderstood human instincts that marketers are ignoring?
People, I think we talk a lot about personalization.
Yeah. The Holy Grail.
Yeah,
Right
the holy
offer,
grail is
right
personalization.
time, right message. Yeah.
Exactly. We talk a lot
Yeah.
about personalization, but we don't talk enough about community and what that actually means. I think humans need to belong. They need to feel like they're part of something bigger,
Right.
part of something more important. And I think sometimes in marketing, we optimize the funnel and we optimize the friction points and we try to personalize. None of that has anything to do with belonging to something bigger. One of the interesting things I remember learning from our chief brand person at Build-A-Bear, she would say that a brand is a club that you want to belong to, right? And so I think sometimes as marketers, we focus so much on personalization that we miss human belonging and how impactful that is.
Yeah. It's so true. Do you feel like some of that human connection can also be manufactured in a way that it hurts a brand? Like I think about some brands that they have these climbs on TikTok, they go viral for something, and then they can't hang on to it, right? Because it wasn't either inherent in their DNA or it was maybe a fleeting moment. Where do you find that like brands are going too far into leaning in the virality versus in that moment versus focusing on kind of the steady drumbeat of building that community? Like, do you find that sometimes brands are just kind of going moment to moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question because there's dynamic things that happen that can help to build your brand. I think when you think about brands compared to funnels, brand building is a slower process.
Yeah.
Funnel is fast.
Right.
And so it's a little bit like thinking about going to the gym when you're building a brand or a culture. You don't walk into the gym after not having gone to the gym for 5 years and on a Saturday, you exercise for 2 hours and come out and say, man, I am so healthy.
I'm jacked.
You're jacked. That's what I was going to say. I'm just ripped
now.
Yeah.
You don't do that, right? We don't think of it that way.
Some people do.
Some people actually are jacked.
I mean, isn't there a pill for that, guys? At this point? Come on.
I think
it would take me a little longer.
Yeah,
say.
Same.
The bottom line is that if we truly want health, if we truly want the benefits of what it means to exercise, then we have to be consistent and we have to do it over time.
Yep.
And so I think that people who get that performance marketing is now, and let's do that.
Yeah.
And then add to that this steady drumbeat. And they can be TikTok events. They can be things that are viral in nature.
Yeah.
But we add those together and we do that consistently over time. That's what builds a brand. I think what you're alluding to is some people will think that one time of going and getting that TikTok event is the thing that builds their brand.
That's right.
And not realize that they need to continue to create that drumbeat, that consistency of exercise that's going to make the difference.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on.
And I think your point about storytelling, I think is so important. There are a lot of brands that just don't have a story. They're like, okay, I have this problem. I solved the problem. People should buy it. But there's no romance. There's no belonging. There's no
heart,
soul.
Yeah.
Of that. It's just very sort of utilitarian. And which I guess is fine for some brands, especially if you're not trying to get someone to pay a lot of money for it. But is it a skill that I would say the top tier brands that want to be these iconic brands like really need to learn?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to empathy in a really kind of meaningful way. And when we often talk about empathy and people say, put yourself in the customer's shoes. Empathy is a little different than putting yourself in the customer's shoes. It's an active, investigative process of understanding the why behind what the problem is. I was sitting in a meeting where we were about to go present, and I was sitting next to the guy who was the CMO of Domino's Pizza. And I was talking to him about what the magic of what he was doing. This is when they were turning the business around.
Yeah.
He found it fascinating. They got into transparent. They were very transparent. I said, okay, tell me more about that, Russell. And he said, what we do is we focus, really great marketers focus on the problem, not the solution. And they get super clear about what the problem is that they're solving. That's what empathy really is. It's an investigative process that helps us to get to the true problem. And then we market that problem before we talk about the solution. And when we do that combination of here's what I hear, it's design thinking. You're designing to solve a problem. And then the marketing that layers on after that, the secondary story is, and this is how we make that happen. I think most of the companies that I interface with, especially on the software side, they go right to here's how we make that happen without really clearly marketing what the problem is, right? They'll just say, here's all the benefits without really getting super clear about
what's the problem? It's like a technology solution in search of a problem you hear is sort of like the big issue with tech versus a little bit of the kind of the Steve Jobs innovation mindset. You should understand the customer so well that you could show them something that they never knew they wanted. And you're like, you want this because it's going to help you. And you had never seen anything like this before, but it's a little bit more intuitive.
It's interesting. I was thinking about that the other day and I thought, before electricity and before the internet, no one was asking for electricity or asking for the internet, or very few were. They didn't know. What they knew is the problems those things could solve. Right. And so our job as marketers, our job as storytellers, our job as empathizers is investigators of what that problem is that we're trying to solve. And going after that to solve is different than saying, here's all the cool things that electricity is. Right. Or that the internet is. So.
When you talk about sourcing that, whether it's those stories or the customer connections, as marketers, we love a good survey. We love good, forums and things like that. But do you find sometimes that brands might be at risk of either listening to the vocal minority versus the majority, right? Because there's only some small percentage that's going to take your survey. There's only some small percentage that maybe you're going to make comments. Where do you recommend marketers dig deeper to unearth that feedback in a way that they can apply it meaningfully to their brand, and they're not necessarily moving or changing at the whims of, a handful of people that might be a very small percentage, but they're very vocal? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I'm going to answer slightly different, just something that I experienced at Build-A-Bear that I'd read and then saw in real application. What I'd realized is that when it comes to evolving your brand, listening to the customer all the time and reacting, and we'll come back to some of the things that you just talked about, that's valuable, right? Getting customer feedback, doing focus groups, that kind of stuff, that's super valuable. I'm huge for listening in social media. I'm huge for listening on surveys, and the more, the merrier. I think the more we can learn, the better. That's super valuable. But I find that these major innovations, they actually don't listen to the customer when it's a revolutionary change. The reason I say that is because if you think about Steve Jobs' introduction of the iPod, right? Going back to the idea that no one was asking for this specific thing, what was happening is Sony at the time was controlling the market with the Walkman. I had my yellow Walkman headphones, right? And my cassette tape.
I felt real cool. I'm just going to say.
They were super 1980s cool.
100%.
It was super cool.
With my mixtape? I mean, I was jamming
with your mixtape that you made. Absolutely cool. And they're coming back, by the way. So this is even cooler. But they did focus groups and they said, okay, what do we do next? And they took it from a tape to a CD.
Yeah.
And then the next focus group told them, because the human was in the context of what was possible today, what was the next innovation? Mini discs. Just make it smaller. Just make it smaller. It's because the context that the human in their focus group had was what it was today, not what they knew was possible in the future.
Right.
So I feel like it's important sometimes to realize that there are evolutionary things that we want to do to evolve ideas, and there are revolutionary ideas that are going to evolve things.
Yeah, I feel like sort of like Microsoft and BlackBerry at the same time had the sort of the same issue as Sony. They were like, literally, I was watching an old YouTube video from Steve Ballmer, like vis-a-vis like 2004 or something. He's like, Steve Jobs just introduced the most expensive phone I've ever seen on the market. It's like $550. Who would ever pay $550 for a phone? We have $99 phone that does just as much.
Yeah.
When you talked about Microsoft, I thought you were going for the Zune, and I was like, no one asked for that.
Pretty
and
close,
absolutely no one wanted it.
Yeah, it came and went. What I found at Build-A-Bear, we were working on the Store of the Future concept. And so the concepts that we were doing, no one was asking for. So we were rapidly prototyping them. And then once we kind of had some of those bigger concepts, we created a prototype store. And we had a little focus group. We called them Cub Advisors. They were all in little tiny lab. We had all little lab coats, all these kids with name badges and lab coats.
It's adorable.
It was so cool. We would bring Cub Advisors in, not to tell us what the next generation would be, but to elevate what we were showing them. And so we had these revolutionary pieces we were putting into place, and we were using them to make them better.
That's awesome.
So I feel like the combination of evolution and listening and revolution, when you're empathizing what the bigger problem or opportunity is, I think that combination is a winning combination.
I mean, there are a lot of brands that don't start from solving human needs. Like, what are we trying to fill? How are we trying to make ourselves better? How are we going to try to make the world better? If you had to sort of strip out all the AI, innovation, personalization, and just start a brand from a place of meaning to individuals and community, like, where would you start today?
I think from a brand building perspective, I would start at recognition. You're right. People want to be recognized. They don't want to be tracked. They want to be recognized, right? They want to be seen, right?
We don't want to be cookied.
That's right. They don't want to be cookied. They don't want to be tracked. They want to be.
I always tap no on the app that when I install. I don't want to be tracked.
You don't want to be tracked. That's how humans.
I know I'm being
I'll remove
tracked.
that tracker I put on you.
I know I'm being tracked, but I don't want to be tracked.
That's right. We don't want to be. We don't want brands to be tracking us to
Sure.
That's the standard, right? What we really want is brands who actually get us, who understand us. In other words, we want brands who are a mirror to us, show us, reflect ourselves, as opposed to creating megaphones. So more mirrors, less megaphones as brands.
Yeah, brands that I always think about just the idea of identity. Like, do I see myself in this brand? Is this an aspirational? Does it represent just, wow, this is just how I feel now? Yeah. And so I'm sort of vibing. This is my vibe right now. I need to put on this shirt, and that's how I feel right now, versus I need to elevate myself a little bit, or just like, I'm going to glam it up today. I'm going to use Jess's term, I think.
Yeah.
Both of those are human needs, right?
Right.
The bottom line is that we want to feel validated on who we're becoming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so we are attracted to brands that reflect who we're becoming.
Yeah. And
so I think the brands that do that well and are less microphone and more mirror are the ones that are going to win in the future.
Yeah, I'll ask a little bit of a controversial question in the sense of, we talked about conversion optimization and funnels and dial turning, if you will. Do you find that marketing today is leaning too much, in some cases, to like impressing peers or making it from board meeting to board meeting versus building this continuity or, heart, or maybe even being willing to take risk because you're not sure what the outcome will be, but it's okay if it doesn't work. Like, do you find we're, as marketers, maybe getting too into the data for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, I can tell you I've fallen into this trap myself. So
it's hard not to.
Yeah. So what happened, we sometimes focus on the polish and we lose the authenticity of it, right? So we focus on the numbers and the polish and how perfect it is.
Right.
And this is a world that wants to create with you, and over polish creates authenticity, and you're not as approachable. If you think about the humans you love the most in your life, it's because they have flaws and they're open about it, right? They're honest about it. They're open to learning new things. They're open to being taught. They're open to being vulnerable.
Warts and all.
Oh, warts and all. That's what makes us love each other. To be honest with you, just think about all the people that you know. How many of them are exactly perfect? The reason you love them is because they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we create in our brands this perfect set of images, perfect set of metrics and things like that. And we chase those way more than authenticity. And I would much rather connect with 10 people authentically than get a round of applause from a panel at Cannes for some campaign that's over polished. That true connection, I think, is
I want to take this thread forward a little bit, especially because there's so many brands and the audience and anywhere you go is trying to connect to the younger generation, because stop me if you've heard this before. Our demographic is getting older. As a result, our market share is shrinking and we need to connect with the kids. If our brand is going to have a future, I feel like most brands you walk into are in that mindset. But you're talking about like empathy and this connection to physical experiences that are real, that are authentic. Gen Z, like I know you've said in the past, really connects to those physical experiences. And how, for brands that want to connect to that generation and maybe bring in some of the more emotional brand building, physical elements, how do you do that in a quote unquote real way, fake real way?
Yeah. Well, I think what I love about Gen Z, this next generation, I absolutely love. They are collectors of experiences, not collectors of stuff. That doesn't mean that they don't have gear, right? And that gear is kind of it's part of a gateway to an experience that they're developing, whether it's here in Manhattan and they're going to a party and it's an experience that they want and they have the outfit for that and they're capturing that and they're sharing that with their friends and they collect that, or they're going to the mountains with the right set of gear that they can breathe and take an amazing shot. Yeah. They're collecting these experiences, and that is so, so, so important to them. So it's a lot more about allowing them to own the memory and not just the merch. It's the combination of memory and merch that I think this generation values the most. So creating spaces for them. So our retail spaces, I think, will continue to evolve, and I think we're going to see more studio kind of capturing content studios where you're experiencing the brand inside the store in a really, really meaningful way. And it's a content studio for that customer where they can capture some of the things that they're collecting. And so it's capturing that product and taking it with you. I took a group of people I've done a number of different trips with our teams to get them into the store to watch how people shop. Yeah. What's fascinating about how they shop, watch next time you're shopping, just stand in the corner, not in a creepy way, but just watch other people shop. Watch what they do. They don't shop with their eyes only. They shop with their hands. They're constantly touching fabric. They're pulling things off. They're comparing it to them. Right. Yep. And so it's this tactile kind of experience. And so knowing that this generation is experience collectors, creating experiences at the store that is the product, because there's nothing more that we can do that will improve the experience than the product itself.
Yeah.
An amazing experience is great product wrapped in a story that they can own, that they can create, right? And so I think we'll see an evolution of stores that will continue to see that. And we'll see these spots where they're going there to deeply connect with the brand in a unique way.
Yeah. I mean, one I've seen recently, Dick's Sporting Goods has reimagined a lot of its new stores, the House of Sport, which is like a lot of these open spaces where people can play golf or swing a bat, or whereas if you're in a typical narrow aisle retail store, you don't have the space to do any of that and to take pictures about it or, any of those things.
I think you're spot on, because the paradigm that we've had in the past is square foot sales, right?
Four-wall contribution.
Right? Because that is its own channel, and then digital is its own channel, and they don't compare. The fact that these turn into content studios where you're experiencing our brand means that we need to rethink how the four-wall contribution is calculated on more of an omni view of the world, on a more holistic view of the world, because those brand investments, those experience investments for this generation of experience collectors is the thing that's going to pay us off, I think, in the long run.
And the digital first brands, do they have a disadvantage? Or like, if you're a digital first brand and you're thinking about how to connect to these physical experience topics, which are essential to create these sort of emotional experience-based connections, like, where are they going to do that? Are they just needing to invest in wholesale and their capsules within the wholesalers or store in stores? Or is that kind of the way forward for a lot of these things? Or should they do their own thing and do a pop-up in Manhattan or somewhere?
So I had this experience that I'll share, and it'll sort of answer the question, but then I'm going to tie it back together here in a second. So when we were doing the Store of the Future at Build-A-Bear and working on it together, one of my colleagues there, one of my friends, was over all of the stores, the workshops. And we were rapidly prototyping the store, and then we would put it in front of kids and through that process that I just described with the Cub advisors coming in. And then we started rolling stores out, and we had first prototypes, that kind of stuff. While we were going through that process, we were standing in the store one day. And if you think about who our target demographic is, it's a 10-year-old girl who's the most digitally savvy human in the history of this planet. And he turned to me one day, and we had infused digital into the store experience. And it was so meaningful, where you could go online and play and come into the store and unlock things and go back and forth. It was really, really amazing. And he made this observation. We got great feedback from kids, that kind of stuff. But we measured our guest satisfaction religiously. And he said, what's interesting about the data here is that the highest guest satisfaction we get is when one human connects to another human in the store. Now, this is to the most digitally connected kid on the planet. But when they had someone recognize them or say, Jess, why are you here? Oh, it's your birthday. Oh, everyone, it's Jess's birthday. She's validated. She knows, I know you. When you feel like I know you, it changed the equation. And so when I heard that, I was like, that's one of those mantras that's going to stick with me forever. Now, I've said this in the past, and some people think that I'm anti-digital. I'm not. Digital first doesn't mean human last, right? It means that we look for opportunities in a digital world to create human connections that are meaningful, connections to our brand that are meaningful. So going back to your pure play question with that as a learning for me that I got. For me, brands that are pure play still have this emotional connection to human tactile things. It could be your unboxing. Think about what unboxing is. It's a tactile experience where you're literally just showing someone that you're opening a box. It's because humans shop with their hands and they're watching someone else do that. It's because it's reconnecting them back.
And they're waiting for that like joy moment.
Exactly.
Just to see it.
Exactly. And they're digital, right? You're experiencing this through digital. So going back to your question, how I think brands can do this, think about what's their unboxing, what's your handshake with humans digitally? What does that look like? It might be brand events. It might be pop-ups. It might be store in store. It might be cool field trips or things like that you invite the community in to connect with you on.
Know who's the expert on this? Disney.
Really good at
they have this dialed in, and they have these sort of bracelets now where the characters can now do exactly what you're saying, which is like say their name as they walk in. Oh, it's your birthday. Oh, your mom is here. Your aunt is here.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. We had Vivrel on, and they were talking about doing these activations with Revolve at Coachella, which is very on brand for their audience. And so I do think you can, like you said, find these moments of opportunities when you are digital first that allow you to connect with your customer, and then leverage that event, that opportunity to tell those stories. So it's really spot on.
So years ago, just playing off the Disney comment, I was invited to an internal conference at Disney to speak about storytelling and this human connection at retail. Cool. And it was right when they had announced Star Wars Land.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm sitting at this table with these guys who I think are amazing.
Right.
There's a team inside of Disney that's called the Blue Sky Group. So it's like the SEAL Team 6 of Imagineers. They were the ones that were hosting this conference, and it was for internal Disney people. If you think about it, they're a huge retail shop with tons of retail stores. So it's all the merchants that were there and all the retail shop owners. And we were talking about how to make this emotional connection at the store level and these storytelling elements. They are extremely good at it. When I was talking to them about Star Wars Land, I said, okay, tell me about Star Wars Land. What are we going to expect with Star Wars Land? And they said, well, we're building a spaceport. We're not building something that looks like a spaceport. We're building a spaceport.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were in this mode where they were building authenticity, that meant that every little detail of the things that they were doing were going to be spot on and right. And so it was inspiring. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Some of these things. I do want to shift the conversation a little bit to AI, because we're in this place where there's a lot of information that brand leaders have access to. You've compared AI to the printing press or having a PhD in your pocket. There are a lot of brand leaders that sort of haven't woken up to the fact that, like, oh, maybe AI will help me forecast better, or maybe it will help me improve my conversion rate, but haven't really thought too much deeper than that because they're kind of trapped in their comps world. What moment are we in? We don't even need to talk about how to use AI, but more like what moment are we in from an opportunity point of view as brand leaders in a place where this is sort of this, like, everyone can sort of viscerally feel that we're in this sort of discontinuous moment of innovation, where we're not just getting like 2% better than last year.
We're exponentially changing, right?
Yeah.
Every 90 days, things are completely different. I recently was looking into doing a research study because I found this from an anthropology perspective. If you think about us as humans and how we operate, and how we have for millennia, we have these power structures inside of our humanity. And those power structures are generally revolve around wisdom and knowledge. So think about the idea of we go to the doctor today and and we see that person in a certain way because they have certain knowledge that we don't have.
Right.
Sure.
Or we go to an attorney or we go to a consultant because they have knowledge that we don't have. And I was thinking about what does that mean from an AI perspective when everyone will have a PhD in their pocket? How does the power shift from those places that we would historically go to as humans because now we can access those things ourselves.
Right.
I think looking at history might be instructive this way. I think the thing that I think is the best illustration of how this might play out is if you think about before the printing press was available, people were writing everything, and there was only a small group who could actually read, right? And so for you to get value from a book, you would go to church or your synagogue or your temple, and the priest or the rabbi would stand up and they would read to you, right? Which is there, and then they would tell you what this actually meant, which meant that you were getting it through a certain perspective.
Right. Yeah. Their lens.
Right. Their lens. Then what happened is the technology that changed the world was the printing press, and made available the ability for us through the Gutenberg Bible was the first thing that was printed. And now suddenly there was this explosion of the ability to read. And when that happened, the power shifted from where it used to be to the people themselves. And so I feel like we're going to go through the same sort of
this power shift
in humanity, where these power centers of our world are going to shift back to us in a meaningful way. And I think that's really good. And I think we have to be careful at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's like going to your doctor and listening to their advice. You have to be also asking questions and be curious, and not just take whatever they say at face value. You can say, that makes sense to me, or it doesn't. I think our risk, if there is a risk wrapped up in here, is that we just take AI at face value instead of continuing to ask questions and question why it is, and question why I feel the way I feel. So I feel like we're going to see that we're seeing this major power shift in our humanity. And I think that's going to offer a really interesting few years of our future for sure.
Yeah. And in the world of the marketers that evolve and thrive versus those that maybe get left behind, what's your advice for people to embrace things? Rick talk about, there's there's some of these use cases. We know chatbots have been around a long time for customer service. There's AI now for forecasting and data analysis. And now we have these shopping agents that are really meant to help navigate people through a digital experience. But what's the thing that you feel like is going to set the marketers apart in this more evolving world?
I think all those things are good, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they can be.
Yeah.
Let me caveat that.
Yeah.
I think there's lots that are good, and there's a lot that are really, really bad.
Yeah.
Because they're missing the plot. They're missing that connection back to the human.
Yeah.
And they're creating functionality as opposed to connection. They're solving the wrong problem and looking for a problem to solve as opposed to the other way around. Or a solution looking for a problem. So I think the marketers, just to answer your question, I think the marketers who are really, really good are going to do a few things really, really well. They're going to be authentic. They're going to be consistent. To your earlier point, they're not going to just do one time thing and think they're done. They're going to be consistent, and they're going to be humble. And that humility, that ability to learn and grow and be what it means actually to be human. I think the more we see automation, the more that your soul and the fact that you feel will mean more and more to us, right? That's our edge. That's the edge for us.
If we have an edge.
If we have an edge, the edge is that we actually feel, right? And so we actually can tell a difference, and we can actually feel things a little bit differently. Now, I do think that AI is going to make some massive improvements to us from a humanity perspective. And I think embracing those changes and infusing feeling into those is really important. I was telling Rick actually earlier before we got on, we were at Commerce Next this week, and I was talking to someone who historically would go to these things and they would summarize for big consulting firms what they saw at the event. And interestingly, she said, I'm losing my job because they're going to do this with AI. And I think that's okay, right? That happens, and that will continue. We should use AI. She said, what was interesting is I took the AI output summary and I compared it to what I summarized, and they were totally different.
Right.
And I said, so what was different? And she said, the AI just shortened everything, right? It was the exact same flow. It was the exact same points. It just made it took out a whole bunch of words and just shortened it. She said, what I wrote was the stories that I remembered from the conversation and how they were wrapped, how the data was wrapped into stories. So she pulled out the things that she actually felt were the most important. And AI pulled out the things that technically were just a shorter version of it. And I feel like that edge where we can feel a little differently, we need to keep that edge.
Yeah.
And keep double clicking on it.
I think this is such a relevant point because I think there's so many marketers that are looking for how to cut costs in the workflow and the process. And what's the first thing they're looking for? Like, okay, I'm going to send an email, but I want to send it in my brand voice. Well, the brand voice is a style. It's not just a style. It's the story you're telling and the emotions that you're trying to convey. There's 100%. not a model that's going to be able to do that. And so are people just barking up the wrong tree, or?
I think what happens to all of us, and I've fallen into this myself, is we try to personalize. It goes back to the idea of personalization as opposed to connection. Personalizing is, what do I say that I think you want to hear? Connection is, what do I say that motivates you, right? What do I say that actually connects with you? That's your motivation, that really gets you. Those are two different prompts for AI, right? Those are different questions that we're asking. And so I feel like the brands that are going to get it are going to go back to this. And I think you're totally spot on, because we choose brand voice and miss the story.
Right.
I think it's a risk. That's where I think the artists of the future are these artists who use AI more like a conductor of a symphony or a director using lighting as they create stories, because AI can do so many amazing things and they help to craft the story. I feel like those are the really, really great storytellers. People who use AI simply for automation and content creation with no story attached, I think you're going to run into that problem. I think you're right.
What are your favorite tools professionally and then personally that hey, this is just either revolutionizing or this is my sidekick that's really helping me out?
I am probably like most people. We see, what's interesting is every product that we're working with now has AI built into it, right? To some degree. But my travel buddy is ChatGPT, and I literally have philosophical conversations with her and say, okay, what do you think about this? Or tell me more about this. Or I'm about to meet someone. What should I know about this?
Yeah. And
the things that she can help teach me are super, super helpful, or the insight that I can glean from that is really, really helpful. I was doing a presentation the other day and I was talking about, I need research for XYZ in the story that I'm telling. That would have taken me days.
Right.
But I can say, here's the narrative, here's what I'm trying to do. And I think what's happening is we're getting a lot better at prompting for the right story. If you're good at prompting for the right story, because you know how the story narrative works, then AI is really, really beneficial. But I use ChatGPT on a regular basis, and it's a British lady's voice. Maybe it's because my mom is Scottish.
I like that.
My mom is Scottish, and I was raised by Scottish aunties, so it's a British lady's voice.
It makes you feel comfortable.
It feels like home a little bit.
Maybe that's it. This is a psychological thing. You can read.
We're learning a lot right now, Finn.
Way a lot. But my Scottishness is showing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we can let you out of this interview without talking about the dig, and I give you a chance to really kind of dive into I want to call it your platform, but we need to rise above retail a little bit and just sort of get down to the literal digging in the ground that just happened. So talk to me about what is the organization? How you got involved? What you went through recently? Because I feel like a lot of us followed you on LinkedIn and social media. And we're just super excited just to understand, like we've never been involved with anything like this.
So going back, so Rick, at the beginning of the show, you were talking about where we spent time last night. We were at the Explorers Club in New York last night. I'm a member of the Explorers Club. I think, so I joined 5 years ago. I was doing we were supporting some major conservation efforts around the world, in Alaska and Florida, and funding projects around the world. And I was partnering with the Explorers Club at the time. I have a friend at the Explorers that was a member of the Explorers Club. Interestingly, he was knighted in Portugal. So he's an American, but he's a knight and he lives in Portugal. And he introduced me to the Explorers Club, and we started doing these conservation projects together and funding clean water projects. And that's how I was introduced to the Explorers Club. I'm very geeky about collecting experiences, big time. And so, 25 years ago when I was working for Build-A-Bear, we were working with the guys from National Geographic, and we were talking about how travel, getting off the beaten track, makes an impact on your life. What does it do for you? We were sending kids on humanitarian trips, and we were talking about how that makes you more grateful and humble and appreciative and accepting of others, and how powerful those elements of being a human are. And so while we were talking about this, the guy I was sitting across from, who was running the kids magazine, said, "Hey, Finn, just confidentially, I'm leaving National Geographic to go around the world for a year."
Yeah.
I thought this was the coolest idea ever. So I thought, I'm going to do that someday. Now, the timing wasn't right. I had little kids in diapers, and I was helping to start Build-A-Bear, so the timing wasn't right. But it set something in my heart where I thought, I want that education. I want that learning. And so in 2022, our business was going great. My dad had passed away. Things were coming together. And I thought, you know what? It's time for me to take a step out and do that journey and do that learning. And so because I was connected to the Explorers Club, I could use that as a connecting point to others that had interesting stories around the world. So I created this anthropology trip, lived out of a backpack for a year, interviewed tribes in Africa, tribes in the Amazon, scientists in the Galapagos and Antarctica, met with the librarian of the oldest library on the planet, or the oldest continuously running library in the monastery of St. Catherine in Egypt. And I was collecting these experiences that were so meaningful. And so this intellectually curious, I really respect people who do that and are always intellectually curious. And so when I came back from that journey, having lived with, 3 t-shirts and 2 pairs of pants for a year, I was like looking at my closet and saying, how did I get so much stuff? You know? And so I thought, how can I simplify my life? How can I focus on gear, not stuff? If you're a Michael Easter fan, he focuses on the gear side of it, not just more things. That resonated with me. And so I thought, what I need to do is what I learned from that whole journey is that I need to be more intentional about creating opportunities to collect experiences. Not just, hey, what are we doing for family vacation this year? It's, I got a week here or there, but saying, where are the places where I can learn and grow and understand the world a little bit differently? To that end, I worked with my friend who's the knight in Portugal, and we identified a dinosaur dig in Portugal that we could support and help. And so we worked with paleontologists there. We pulled together a dig. My side of that was storytelling and connecting with the mayors and kids in the area at schools and things like that. And so
it's so cool you were able to get the kids involved.
So cool.
Right.
Yeah. And, we walked into the school classroom. I don't speak Portuguese. They don't speak English. And so what was cool is I had a little magnifying glass and fossils in my hand from the dig. We literally just got these out of the backyard where they live. And
their backyard.
Right. And so I took my cell phone and I showed him a picture of a Filosaur, which is like an alligator that has scales on it. And then I pointed to the scale and I pointed to the fossil and I gave them the magnifying glass, and they looked at this and their faces, it was like, 20 Dora the Explorers were invented that day, that were so excited about learning and growing. And so we did a lot of those things. That was very meaningful to me. And what was fascinating is listening to the scientists and how they actually do these things and seeing kind of behind the scenes. And so I try to document it and I put it on LinkedIn on the things that I'm learning, because I find I would want to read this. I'm super geeky about it, but I would want to read these types of things. And so I try to make it less of a travel blog and more of a, what did I learn today? And share that. So I'm on a quest to continue to collect experiences. That's really important to me.
No, that's really great. And if people want to learn more about kind of some of the digs you've been on or the Explorers Club, like where can they learn more about it?
One of the things that's really helpful is everyone, whether you're a member of the Explorers Club or not, you can follow the Explorers Club. And they do great content. And so you'll hear from explorers from all over the world doing amazing things. I'm always inspired by these people. And I strive to be one of them. Yeah. Right. And so I think for me, just diving into those types of things, I love reading. I love jumping into books. There's some great books you can dive into. The River of Doubt is one of my favorite books. Endurance is one of my favorites. So there's some spots you can get into, but if you want to contact me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to geek out with anything and connect you with anyone around the globe that I know and compare notes, because I find that people are doing some amazing stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be high adventure, by the way. It can be that you're going on a cruise somewhere and that is your way of getting out there. I think that's awesome. And I learned from those things as well. And so comparing notes and just meeting with people, spending time at dinner, that was amazing to me. It was
so great.
It fed my soul. So it's those types of things. And we host things at the Explorers Club from time to time. Rick is one of those guys that have been at the Explorers Club a couple of times with me because I value Rick as a storyteller. He's a master storyteller, right? So yes, you are. You
very
absolutely
good at what he does.
He's very good at it. And so
no AI chatbot.
Yeah, no AI chatbot. I love it. And there's authenticity. And so having him there was really important. So looking for opportunities to have shared experiences when we go to conferences and stuff, getting off of the floor of the conference and into a true conversation. That's where I find the most value. So I'm happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn, but I'm also happy to meet with people as we're going and have dinner. I'm big time into sharing stories together.
So great. I know I loved following your journey, and man, sign me up. I want to be on this ride with Finn. It was really amazing. So thank you for sharing your story.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We have Jess the Explorer over here.
That's right.
Hey, I'm there. I went to Italy last year. It was amazing. Like you said, these types of trips just can fill your soul, and went with my family and friends. We rolled 12 deep, which is like not your typical Italy trip, but these are like friends from college, and all of our kids are the same ages. And it was just so fun to experience it. And we drugged them on the walking tours. Totally. They ended up liking it. They complained, but they actually did like it. They learned a lot.
They'll remember it.
They will remember that way more than whatever they were wearing. Right.
100%. 100%.
Yes. 100%. That will stick with you. And what's interesting about humans is when we share experiences, we love each other more. And so bravo. It's awesome to go together.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Cool. Well, this has been amazing. we're going to wrap it, but thank you so much, friend.
Thank you, my friend. Great to
for
see
being here. Thanks for Jess for participating and help leading us in the conversation. Always love when we get together and have such a meaningful guest. That's a personal
amazing
friend who we both love. So
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you for all you do, Finn, for the industry. Like I said,
keep it going. I'm looking to see like your levels of anthropology, and
I'm learning all the time.
Yeah.
I'm in a program that is a class a semester for the rest of my life. That's the program that I'm in.
I love it.
Ending, so.
That's awesome. And thank you. I mean, the brands you've been a part of, I know you've left a lasting impact there too. So thanks for being a champion in our industry, and really look forward to seeing what you continue to do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. See you next time.
We're going to learn how to pronounce the word Shein, a popular online fashion retailer known for its trendy and affordable clothing. Let's break it down. S-H-E-I-N. The word Shein is pronounced as Shein. Repeat after me, Shein. Great. Now, say it together one more time, Shein. Perfect. You've got it. And that's how you pronounce Shein. It's your go-to destination for the latest fashion trends at great prices.